Eventually, I saw and am now able to experience that the happiness is the truest part of us. It actually is what we are. One doesn't just feel happy. One can have the experience that they are happiness itself. That's really different than feeling happiness. When you have your own direct experience of simply being the happiness that you are, always have been, always will be, that's God realization. That's liberation. That's freedom. Then you know you can have any experience, and the happiness is always there. You can go there if you want to. Now, sometimes you actually choose not to, because sometimes that's fun. But when you know you always have the option, that's true freedom. Hello, I am Mark, and this is By Divine Design. The recording that follows is from our weekly free transmission that happens on Zoom every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Everyone's welcome to join us. It's a great group. It's a great service. If you're interested, please see the video description for a link to more information about how you can join. Thanks. On to today's transmission. Hey everyone, welcome. Just look through who all is here. Lots of light radiating from some very beautiful faces here. Even some of you with the video off, I can still feel it. You can't hide. So I never know what's going to actually happen, even when I think I've been given pretty clear glimpses. But as usual, I just drop all expectations. But there is a sense that today's going to unfold a little differently. Yeah, so let's just formally open the transmission right now and then let it do what it wants to do. So this is a transmission of divine love consciousness that's always for your highest good and the highest good of all. The transmission itself meditates you, lifts you, opens you, clears you, allows you to get more and more in touch with your infinite divine being, who and what you truly are. And we're going to take you through a step-by-step shift in consciousness from your more egoic self to your blissfully happy, infinite divine self. So this past week, I sent out 3 messages, posted 3 blog posts where they were out of my journal, first thing in the morning, and basically were 3 different examples of going from the collective consciousness to divine love consciousness. Because that's the main thing I'm here to teach. I'm here to show people how you can leave behind your egoic level experience of the world and open to your infinite divine being's experience of the world. And your infinite divine being is always in bliss. always completely unconditionally loving, blissful, free, happy. And the only reason we are not experiencing that is we're believing our thoughts about ourselves, about our everyday reality. So, for instance, this morning I was sitting at breakfast. I usually have my tablet propped up in front of me, and I read through my curated news feed. Their news feed, it's news from sources that I've picked out specifically, but it does include some world news. And so the one headline that came up, it was about a Supreme Court decision in the United States that's going to make it even more difficult to have fair elections. And so I noticed my personality get involved just the way the news headline intended. I suddenly felt very partisan, very us against them, and we're losing, and it's getting worse and worse every day, and this is depressing as hell, and I'm angry as hell, and blah, blah, blah. All this gets triggered. Why? Because I believed the first thought, and then every other thought that came after it. Is this actually bad for the world, bad for me, bad for our country? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe this is the way change needs to happen. It needs to appear to get worse before it gets better. And maybe this is just a part of that process. But if I don't notice that I'm believing my thoughts, and if I'm not questioning them, then I just go where they lead me. I'm on a train track and there's no chance to turn left or right. The track takes me where it takes me. Those beliefs take me into suffering, unhappiness. So I was aware, I watched it. I was like, oh, look at that. You're believing your thoughts. And they're not even your thoughts. They're collective thoughts that you're just very aware of. Your life, this decision happening in the Supreme Court won't make my day any different. And tomorrow, it doesn't actually directly affect me here and now unless I let it, unless I believe it does. So here's what I did. In that moment, I recognized, oh, you're getting into this momentum. It's leading you to feel depressed, upset, angry. Would I be willing to allow myself to welcome this? Welcoming's always a perfect first step. Can I just welcome what's here, what's coming up in my system? And could I let it instantly change to happiness? And it changed. Now, why was I able to do that? Like most of my life, I was trained to do that by my father. So my father raised 6 kids, was an excellent provider, was extremely loving, was very spiritual and religious, did everything he could to provide well for his family. But how did he do that? By repressing his feelings. How did he get up every day and do what he did? He did not let himself ever feel sad. He did not let himself think about what he was doing in such a way that it could depress him. So then he has me as a son, a super sensitive, hyper empathetic kid who felt everything, including everything he and the rest of the family were repressing. It's like the more they repressed it, the more I felt it. I was the release valve for the family. And they didn't know how to deal with that. So what he would try to do with me is like, tell me to practice every day in every way. I'm getting better and better. I love myself unconditionally. Put a smile on your face and you'll become happy. It was like all these external manipulations to try to get me to repress the way he repressed, because that worked for him. But it didn't work for me. I felt emotionally abandoned. I felt unloved and loved at the same time, and that was confusing. He was just doing the best he knew how to do, and then was passing that on to me. It took decades for me to work through all that and realize that in many ways he was right all along. And yes, he repressed a lot of emotion to get to the happiness, but he did have access to true happiness. That was his superpower. He wasn't just pretending to be, he was happy. He lived a happy life. He had that channel open enough that he could just repress what he didn't like and open up to that happiness and let that fuel him. And I hated that about him. And so every time he or anyone else, including many therapists along the way, would tell me, well, just be happy, just shift into happiness. And it was like, no, you don't understand. No, you're abandoning my inner child. You're telling me to just ignore and repress and it's like, well, is that what we're telling you? Or is something else maybe possible that you're just not seeing yet? And eventually I saw it. Eventually I saw and am now able to experience that the happiness is the truest part of us. It actually is what we are. One doesn't just feel happy. One can have the experience that they are happiness itself. That's really different than feeling happiness. When you have your own direct experience of simply being the happiness that you are, always have been, always will be, that's God realization. That's liberation. That's freedom. Then you can have any experience, and the happiness is always there. You can go there if you want to. Now, sometimes you actually choose not to, because sometimes that's fun. But when you know you always have the option, that's true freedom. So, yeah, let's flesh that out a little bit. Give you another example, and maybe one you can track along with me. Okay, here's one. So, because of the things I've dealt with throughout my whole life, I've been largely alone. I knew I was quite different than the large majority of people. I knew the answers I had to dig for, a lot of them just never felt any motivation to dig even a little bit, and I had to dig all the way to the bottom. So I knew I was quite different than most people. I knew I could, like in high school, there were all these cliques. I could go in to any clique and interact and be liked. And I could talk any language I needed to talk. I could be any way I needed to be. To have an interaction, an association. But I also knew I didn't belong to any one of those cliques. So there was always, even though I could interact with others, I always felt lonely and apart from others. Until at some point, I just gave up trying to find groups of people that I could relate to because I knew ultimately I was here to create a group, not here to find a group. And anyhow, so loneliness is a very practiced emotion in this life. It's been there since the beginning. It's gotten deepened in many different ways throughout the decades. It's just a really practiced like groove in my system. So one time loneliness will often come up is like right before one of these sessions. I'll feel how alone I am in this. I'm the presenter. I'm putting forth that I possibly have something worth sharing. You guys are showing up hoping to experience something useful. Some part of me like feels a loneliness around that and aloneness. And I can welcome that. And then like I did today, it was like, oh yeah, okay, that's there. Really familiar with that feeling. But is it true? And is it anything worth spending even a moment on? No. Can I allow that loneliness to open immediately into all this spiritual loving support I have? All these angels that are like right here saying, we love the service you're doing. We love having access to the earth plane through you and your channel. You're never alone. We're always here. And all my guides and all my relatives that have already passed on that are also very involved in this work, because from their point of view, this is helping the whole ancestral line, and they have an interest in that. So it was like, okay, yes, there's that emotion. Welcome it, acknowledge it, but could I just let it go and have the happiness at my core be present instead? Is anything actually lost by doing that? I used to believe there was something lost in letting go of a feeling. I know now that it's never a loss. It's always a gain. If you're not feeling happiness, you are believing some thought that's cutting you off from the happiness that you are. That's really all it all comes down to. And what's our unconscious? It's all the thoughts that we're still holding on to that we are pretending we're not. And so all we have to do is let them come up into consciousness and then see they're rather silly, a lot of them. And that there's no good reason. It's like the outrage that I felt reading that story this morning, a political story. If I am going to do something about that situation, would it be better to do it from outrage or from overflowing beatific blissful joy? Am I going to be more useful coming from a place of happiness or outrage? Now, there's a lot of people that would make the decision they need the outrage to get them motivated, to take the action, blah, 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 blah. I would say if you're doing it from outrage, all you're going to create is outrage. If you're doing it from happiness, then you have the potential to create happiness as part of the process. And you're going to have a clearer mind. You're going to see exactly what needs to be done, if anything, because when you're really purely in your happiness, 99% of what needs to get done, the universe does for you. There's just a tiny little bit that you'll be asked to actually do yourself. Because you, in your pure happiness, are also tapping into your pure omnipotence. And when I say your omnipotence, it's not you as ego, of course. It's you as infinite divine being. The infinite divine being is omnipotent. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, see, there's something else happening in my field, in my, like, so as many of you know, I actually became God realized in my last lifetime. And then my guru asked me to come back for one more lifetime, veiling my God realization, pretending to be human, having the full human experience, and spend decades slowly reverse engineering that. Like, if I were to write a memoir right now, it would be called something like A Long, Slow, Hard Awakening. Versus these people like Eckhart Tolle who just like awakened on a park bench and now they're dealing with awakening. It's like, I've been working at it consciously my whole frickin' life. And every little bit has been very conscious and it's just required everything, every step of the way. And the reason to do that was to help create a path for others, a conscious path that others could follow along through. Well, the veiling's almost gone. The veiling's going to fall off soon. It's like today, in thinking about what I was going to share today, I had to keep making myself dense, like dumbing myself back down to be able to relate to where you might be coming from. I had to like keep bringing the human consciousness back because I kept wanting to just go into the bliss. And from the bliss, it's like it's really easy to like, why doesn't everyone just get this immediately? Like, there's no like, you begin to lose your ability to like find the step-by-step methods that would work for anybody because you just suddenly don't remember, anything other than the bliss. It's like, it just starts radiating. And anyhow, it's not gone yet. And there's still some work to do from this position where I can access the human directly. I'll always be able to access my human memories, but it's a little different energetically. Anyhow, so even right now, I keep trying to bring it back to where I can like show you step by step. Last week I did a couple journal entries and there was, I had the thought, okay, could this be one that I post? And it was like, I was going along and then there was just this huge jump. And I'm like, maybe 1 out of 20 people who read this would be able to make that jump. Everyone else would get lost. They wouldn't be able to connect this point to this point. It's too big. It's too much. It's too fast. It's like, it was something along the lines of, could I just be peace right now? Like, no matter what else is going on. And I could just drop into it and be peace. And it's like, oh yeah, why wouldn't I do this? Why wouldn't anybody do this? And then I had to remind myself, well, they're believing their thoughts that peace isn't what's best for them. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you're not happy, if you're not at peace, it's because you have some thoughts that are still convincing you peace and happiness are not in your best interest right now. And it's all just conditioning. It's all just bullcrap we learned along the way. I feel guilty about eating ice cream. Maybe I ate the whole pint, so I feel guilty about eating this ice cream. Why do I feel guilty about that? Because I think if I kick myself enough with guilt, it'll somehow keep me from ever doing it again. Does that ever work? No. When you're feeling super guilty, you want to go out and take out the next pint. It's like it completely backfires every time, but we've been taught to believe negative feelings can motivate us to do the right thing next time. Whereas if you were to say, okay, I had that ice cream, that's evidently what I needed to self-regulate in that moment. Now I'm feeling guilty. I welcome the guilt, but could I let that guilt dissolve into happiness? And as I do that, is there now still a desire to have another pint? No, I'm in happiness. I don't want anything to disturb this happiness. Going to the freezer, taking out a spoon and that's all way too much work at this point. I'm already in bliss. I don't want to do anything except what would it be like to let this level of bliss dissolve into even more bliss? See, even when we get hold of like a really nice experience, we don't want to attach to it because we're infinite beings. It can become infinitely sweeter as long as we're not attached to good or bad feelings. And again, why would I attach to a good feeling? Because there's a thought. This doesn't happen to me very often. I've got to hold on to it and make it last as long as it can. Is that true? Absolutely not. Trying to hold on to it kills it. We want to welcome it, let it go, and if it wants to, become even more blissful. And more blissful. Okay, so from one point of view, what we're sharing with you is very advanced. But we're not just telling it to you. We're not just explaining it to you. We've been giving you an energetic experience of it. We've been opening the pathway that allows you to go from a dense human experience to this truer, blissful experience. So, yeah, let's go ahead and shift into a more meditative experience of this. And we'll do our best to expand your access to being able to make these kinds of shifts. Like this can happen at any moment of your day or night. And sometimes when you make the shift, it'll open up just for a moment or a few moments or maybe an hour or two. And then you'll get convinced by your thoughts that come back to reality, come back to the density, come back to your beliefs. But every time you open up to it, even for a moment, it begins to scorch that old pathway. It begins to make it so it's more and more difficult to ever go back to believing your thoughts and to thinking that somehow staying dense is actually more useful. And you never know which moment it will become permanent. So you could open up to an experience of your true bliss in this moment and have it just stay. You, every one of you, that edge is right there. It's so close. And ultimately, it's going to come down to whether or not you want it. Whether or not you, all the way through and through, whether you want it. It really, in the end, comes down to a choice. I'm done with the illusion. I'm ready to be in my bliss again. But it's not really again, because for most of you, it's going to be, I'm ready to be in my bliss for the first time permanently while here in a human body. So it's going to be a first time for many of you. But you're so close to it. And yeah. Yeah. So the transmission's amping up, amplifying the pathway we've already shown you, shown your energy system, helped you begin to explore to the extent that you were ready. Yeah. So just notice, welcome. There's a very significant change to your overall system, like the overall tone of your energy system. Just feel into that, whatever that is for you right now. It's not just in this or that area, it's the overall tone and level of light for your whole system, all around you and within you. What if it's actually true you are pure happiness? What if it's actually true you can consciously choose to experience that more and more directly, even while there are all these thoughts and beliefs still in your system? What if there's a way you can experience pure happiness right now, even as you believe whatever you still believe? It's as if your system's been running with a switch turned on that said, thoughts are primary. And we're giving you the option to turn that switch off. So thoughts no longer need to be the primary creator of your experience. Your infinite divine being is allowed to be the primary creator of your experience. Your thoughts can still be there, adding nuance, but would you be willing to explore the possibility of shifting from thoughts as primary creators of your reality, of your experience, to your infinite divine being as the primary creator? Now, in fact, your infinite divine being has always been the primary creator of your reality. And you've wanted the experience of everything filtering through your thoughts, being primarily created through those thought filters. And now you're being given the option to turn that off temporarily or even forever. So just notice what you notice as we highlight how this works, how this has been set up in your system, how it's been functioning. Yeah, would you be willing to allow yourself to notice when you flick off that switch, your thoughts may still be present, but their effect is much quieter. Yeah. Looks like all of you are basically there, but let's just make sure. Would you be willing to allow yourself to flick off that switch for the length of this meditation so you can have your own direct experience of your infinite divine being being the primary creator of your experience instead of your thoughts? Okay, good. So there is some hesitancy in some of you, but that's fine. The first place we're going to pull you is like this allows you to access that space behind your thoughts, that quiet space of pure being. We're pulling you into that, allowing you a deeper experience of that. This is the you that never, ever, ever believed even one thought. This is you as pure being, free of the human mind, untouched by the human mind. The longer you bask in this pure space, the less the mind can ever overtake your awareness. Now, there's a space within this space that we're pulling you towards. Would you be willing to allow yourself to have your own direct experience of your pure happiness? It's good for you to know it may not appear to be like anything you ever imagined, anything you thought about it or were taught about it. Would you be willing to allow it to reveal itself to you as it actually is? Would you be willing to allow this aspect of your being to reveal itself even more deeply, even more completely? Now we invite you to pick a moment in your day or night, perhaps when you're fixing a meal or coming home, opening the door, laying in bed. And whatever moment you're thinking of, it's good for you to know this pure happiness is being infused into those moments, into that part of your day or night. Happiness knows no time. Happiness is connected to all time. But it's not just the time of day that's being infused. It's how you are normally experiencing your human consciousness in those moments is also being infused. Pure happiness. Unconditional. It's not happiness because of this or that. It's just happiness. And as we hold this energy field, you might just continue to imagine different points in your day and allow them to be infused with this pure happiness, making it easier for you to experience this, for this to arise for no reason at all. Throughout your day and night. Would you be willing to allow your thoughts to simply stop and your pure happiness to arise within your experience, within your conscious awareness at all these various moments throughout your day? Would you be willing to allow yourself to show yourself that this is a more enjoyable, more healthy, more flowing way to live than however you've been living? So, for some of you, what that's triggering is a fear of being mindless. Like you're having enough taste of this, transcending the mind, being without thought, how that allows you to experience more and more happiness. But there's fear. Who would I be without my mind? How would I get things done without thinking about them? How would I know what to get done if I don't think it through and figure it out? What if none of that's needed? What if none of that is needed? What if it's true that you can simply know whatever you need to know whenever you need to know it without ever thinking about it? And from this place of happiness, what if it's true that you simply do what's yours to do in the moment without needing to think about it at all, even for a moment, even one thought, unneeded? You've been experiencing yourself as infinite divine being with a human mind. Your infinite divine self, your God realized being, the fully evolved infinite divine being who has experienced God realization, is the same being minus all the thoughts. There's no longer an unconscious storehouse of thoughts you're not wanting to think, but that are still triggering this and that in your system, that are still filtering your experience of reality and making you continue to believe in the illusion that they are constantly creating all around you as if it's real. Whereas the only thing that's real is you believing a thought, that creating an experience. And if you don't see that cause and effect, you believe you're a victim of that experience instead of its creator. And the loop begins again. So we're highlighting the mechanism, the way it's been operating, highlighting that, putting light and conscious awareness on that, so you can begin to become more aware of it when it's happening and have more freedom to just jump out of that loop. No thought needed. So let's peek into that. Would you be willing to allow yourself to peek into what your life would be like free of all thoughts? And it's good for you to know, even if you could hear or sense thinking happening, you are also having a direct experience of life beyond thoughts. So, whatever that was for you, would you be willing to let that go and have a fresh glimpse into who and what you are without a human mind? Without that storehouse of fears and conditioning and faulty reasoning, misunderstandings. Yeah, and for some of you, the ego might be throwing a temper tantrum. I'm important. I'm important. I can't go away. I'm needed. You need me. You need my thoughts. You need my fear. Clear, 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 clear. Just notice for yourself, is any of that actually true? It is good for you to know that you can go about your whole day, do everything that's needed, interact with others without ever having a single thought. So, for some of you, that's a new thought. That is something you hadn't even imagined it was possible. Would you be willing to try it out just a little bit more right now? So, for instance, just a moment ago, I heard the word so, for instance. Did that involve thought? No, there really was no thinking involved. It was just knowing these are the next words about to come out of this mouth. It's just a happening. No thought required. I'm not thinking about what I'm about to say. I'm not considering this word or that. I'm not thinking about how it will be received or not received. These words are just coming out. There's no thought involved. It's an expression direct from knowing. It's a knowing, and even that makes it sound like it's more than it actually is. It's like a transfer, it's a communication that just is energy moving through the system and emerges as words But more important is the energy of the words, the energy that's being communicated directly into your system, into your being. And even that makes it more than it actually is, because in the oneness, I don't experience myself even communicating with you out there as other. It's more I'm just witnessing this arising in my system, and I know that is your system as well. It's just what's arising within the oneness of infinite divine being. So for the fun of it, we're just going to pop ahead to this. Just notice what you notice. Can you find any valid reason not to allow yourself to be who and what you truly are as pure happiness? And it's good for you to know there's no way to do this right or wrong. Whatever's perfect for you is what's unfolding. This transmission meets you exactly where you are at and helps you to slide down the path as you are ready. As we bring this transmission towards a conclusion, now, would you be willing to allow yourself to become more aware of your physical body and your physical location and the earth below you? While remaining in touch with as much of your pure happiness as is possible for you. And what if even more is possible now? Would you be willing to allow yourself to be happier now? And as you begin to think about the rest of your day, would you be willing to welcome whatever comes to mind and then let it be replaced with your pure happiness, just as well as you do? Yeah, as you go about the rest of your day, you might imagine the different people you'll interact with, what emotions those people might evoke in you. Would you be willing to just welcome all of that and then let your pure happiness be even more primary? And would you be willing to allow it to all be as perfect as it actually is? This session is complete. Infinite blessings.